The King of the Birds, chapters 1 to 4, from Careful Hans, Beacon Reader. All right. One day, long, long ago, all the birds of the wood met to choose a king. They said, "The bird who can fly the highest shall be made king of the birds." The eagle was strong and big. He thought he was sure to win. He strutted about amongst the smaller birds and said, "Why don't you make me bird? Why don't you make me king now? You know that I can fly the highest." Then the tiny wren spoke up and said, "You are indeed big and strong, Mr. Eagle, but you may not win for all of that." So the little birds and the middle-sized birds and the big birds all got ready for the race. They said that the owl should start the race. When all were ready, the owl cried, "Hoo! Hoo!" And as soon as the owl cried, "Hoo! Hoo!" straight up into the air flew all the birds. Up, up they went, far into the blue sky. One by one, they dropped out of the race. The great eagle alone kept on his way, as strong as ever. At length, the eagle looked down below him. He saw that all the other birds had given up. "Woohoo!" he screamed. "Hee! What did I tell you? I am the king of the air, and of all the birds that fly." Now the tiny wren had been flying right under the eagle's breast. But the eagle did not know. When he stopped, the wren darted out from under his wing. He flew just above the eagle's head and cried out, "No, no, Mr. Eagle! I am the king of the birds! Look at me! Look at me! I have flown the highest!" The birds were glad to see the proud eagle beaten. He had boasted too much. So they chose the tiny wren for their king. This made the eagle very, very angry. He caught the little bird in his claws. He threw him to the ground. The wren was not much hurt. He swelled up with pride when the birds made him their king. But the eagle had torn away half of the little wren's tail, and ever since he has had a very short tail indeed. It was springtime. The birds were building their nests. The woods were filled with their singing. Under the green leaves of a great oak lived the king and queen of all the birds. Their home would look to you and to me just like any other nest, but to the birds it was the palace of the king, and in it sat 4 little princes. They were very proud princes. Was not their father the king of the birds? One day, the wolf and the bear were walking near the oak tree. When the bear caught sight of the nest, he asked, "Whose nest is that, Mr. Wolf?" "Hush, hush! That is the palace of the wren, the king of the birds," said the wolf. "Oh, ha ha!" cried the bear. "What a queer kind of palace! I must go and take a look at it." "No, no," said the wolf. "Do not go near the nest. You should first ask the king or the queen. You must take care not to make them angry." But the great shaggy bear pushed the wolf to one side. Then he walked up to the nest. The bear took one look and began to laugh. "What?" he cried. "These are not the king's children?" They're nothing but 4 common little birds." Hearing this, the 4 little wrens were very, very angry. "We are the children of the king," they cried. "You shall pay for what you have said." But the bear only laughed louder and louder. "Do you think such little things as you could hurt a great bear like me?" And then he turned away toward his den. Soon, King Wren came home to his palace. The little birds began to shout and scream with anger. They told him what the bear had said. "We shall not eat a thing," they cried, "until you have punished that wicked old bear. No, not even the wing of a fly." King Wren flew straight to the bear's den and cried, "Come out here, old growler!" And when the bear came out, the wren cried, "Go at once to my palace, to the oak tree. Tell my children that you are sorry for what you have said. Tell them that you will never do it again." But the bear only laughed at the little wren and crept back into his cave. This made the wren very, very angry. He puffed himself up and screamed, "As the king of the birds, I shall call a great meeting. I shall order them to make war upon all the beasts of the wood." And the bear only growled and said, "Wah! Make war if you wish. You will find that the animals will be ready for you." King Wren ordered the birds to come to his palace. He told them how the bear had treated his children. He told them how the birds were very angry and cried, "We will make war upon the bear and upon all the beasts of the wood." The bear and the other animals learned what the birds had done. They all met near the bear's cave. The lion, the tiger, the elephant, the deer, the wolf, the leopard, and the fox were all there. And I think all the animals in the world were there too. They talked and talked to see how they could fight the birds. But they did not see the tiny hummingbird. He was hidden under a big leaf. Do you know that the hummingbird can hover like a helicopter? And no other animal, no other flying thing can do that. It's the most unusual bird in the world, and it's tiny. He listened and listened with his sharp ears. He heard every word the animals said. Do you know what that's called? That's called spying. The hummingbird spied on the animals and was going to go and tell the birds and the flying things what the animals were planning. Now let's see what the animals planned. At length the bear cried, "The fox knows the most. Let him plan the war." The fox was filled with pride. "Very well," he said. "I will lead the fight. You must all watch my long bushy tail. I will hold it straight up in the air like a flag. Then you will know we are winning the fight. But when you see my tail hang down, run away fast as you can to your homes. You will know that the battle is lost." Both sides were now ready for the great battle. The lions roared, the bears growled, the wolves howled, and the monkeys screamed. They made such a noise, it shook the ground. The birds of the air came flying up. Such a screaming and cackling and humming and fussing was never heard before. Now the little hummingbird went to the bee. What do you think he's going to tell the bee? Let's see. She told how the fox was to hold his tail straight up in the air. "Hoo, hoo," said the bee. "I will see about that. I think I will sting his tail." So the bee flew straight to the fox's tail and stung it with all her might. It hurt so much that the fox bucked in pain, but he held his tail high in the air. He was not going to let his side loose because of a little pain. The bee stung the tail again, but he held his tail high in the air. He's brave. He's trying not to let down his side. Then the bee stung the tail again. It hurt so much that the fox howled with pain. Then, letting his tail drop between his legs, he ran away as fast as he could. The animals saw the fox's tail was down. They thought the battle was lost. They all turned and ran, each to his own den, as fast as they could. The birds had won the battle. The king wren flew to the den of the bear and cried, "Come out, old growler! Go at once to my palace! Tell my children that you are sorry for what you have said." The bear crept out of his den. He went to the wren's palace. He said that now he knew they were the children of the king. And that's the end of the story. Does the story tell us something about size and might and about cleverness and intelligence and wisdom? The great mighty beasts of the earth were conquered, were defeated by the tiniest of flying things, by the hummingbird and the bee. They used their wisdom to conquer the beasts of the earth. Isn't that an amazing story? Do you know that once a bee stings, it loses its life? The bee knew that she would die after she stung the fox's tail. She did it anyway. That's called unity. Isn't this an amazing story? I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did telling it for you. Thank you.